Unity of Walnut Creek. Happy, beautiful, cool, cloudy October day. So nice to see all of your smiling faces. Anybody out there on the patio, folks at home, thank you for joining us. We have Simon Russell in the house today, right? How about that? So if you're going to sing with us, and we want you to sing with us, please put your mask on, stand up as you are able, and join us in God is Good all the time.
God is good all the time.
God is good.
God is good
All the time.
all the time. Filled with compassion, God's love is
church.
Come on, band.
God is good.
God is good.
Good.
God is good.
God is good.
Oh, God is good.
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 All the time.
Oh, God is good. God is good.
God is good.
I said God is good
God is good.
all the time.
Yes,
All the time.
God is good.
God is good.
God is
God's love is everlasting. God is good.
God is good.
All the time. Oh, don't you know all the time? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, Unity of Walnut Creek. It's good to see everybody. Welcome to our services. I'm Carolyn Jansen.
Simon, thank you once again for kicking this party off here. And my name is Carl, and as I said at the 9:30 service, welcome to this beautiful fall day. The overcast is just perfect. Join us in turning to the camera and waving to our folks at home. Your presence adds a lot to our spiritual community, and we're so glad to have you joining us.
And please join me in welcoming our guest musician, Simon Russell. And of course, our own Dusty on bass and Dan on drums. And our Unity song leaders today are Lisa and Tyler. Thank you all for sharing your music with us.
I was listening to the music before this service, and I just said to somebody, I wish I had like a bourbon cocktail and just kick back here. Very well done. Thank you. John, yeah, you and I.
That became a habit during COVID. We'd watch on Friday nights. That was our thing, was to have a cocktail and watch SF Jazz online. There's a carryover.
We don't drink at church yet, so. Reverend Kristin will deliver today's message. And the message from the Eye of the Storm series is making friends with conflict. Yeah.
Before we begin, I invite you to turn your phones to silent so we can enjoy the sacred service together.
Let's take a moment to be grateful for the land our center rests upon. This is Ohlone, Bay Miwok, and Yukot's land.
We honor its ancestry, and we are grateful for those who came before us. We commit to taking care of these sacred native grounds and Mother Earth.
Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness.
Our mission is who we've come here to be. Let's say this together.
We are a
loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. Our core values are love, connection, service, and wisdom.
If you are with us for the first time, welcome. If you feel comfortable, please raise your hand so we may acknowledge you. Hello. Good morning.
Wonderful.
Please visit our bookstore across the patio after our service to receive a welcome packet and a gift. If you need help in receiving these, you can just ask sitting right next to you, or ask an usher. They'll help you know. We hope you choose to stay after the service and talk with us on the patio.
We have connection cards. They're available in the newcomer welcome packet, and they're also in the seat pockets in front of you. And these are for everyone to use. With this card, you can submit a prayer request, or you can make a comment. Our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week.
You may also share feedback or request information, so please place the card along with offerings later in the service. For those of you viewing online, connection cards are available on the Watch Live page on our website.
Please consider comfort levels of hugging one another before and after services. And we do welcome you to socialize with us on the patio afterwards or visit the bookstore.
Our campus is open for on-site classes and groups, and masking is optional, although we recommend masking indoors. And it is very important, as we noticed, to wear a mask while you're singing. You can put it on, sing, and take it back off, but we've decided that we still want to do that. And we have several activities to highlight this week.
You've probably heard many times that prosperity comes from within, right? Well, do you still wonder how to work with your within so you can experience prosperity without? Dimitri, come up and share with us.
How are you going to feel if I have this $100 bill and I'll just burn it right now, right here? What kind of emotions do you experience? You see, our thoughts and beliefs produce emotions, and then emotions produce actions, and then we got results. What kind of emotions do you have around money? My workshop today at 2 o'clock, it's all about that, exploring your own emotions about money. Here we go, come in.
Did you know that crystals can be instructed to help with healing and clearing? Join Holly Million for a hands-on workshop to learn how to use sacred energy of crystals to bless and protect spaces, places, and people, and take home a beautiful crystal of your own.
Holly?
I'm going to light these on fire.
That would be
Okay. How many of you out there live with crystals at home? A lot of you, I bet, right? And do you use them? Do you work with them or do anything with them? Okay, so you're already pros. I'm going to come here in 2 weeks, and we're going to do a workshop called the Sacred Crystals Workshop. And I'm going to teach you what I've learned as a professional shaman using crystals to clear people, places, and things. And in this workshop, you're going to meet 35 crystals and be able to touch them and be able to clear them and be able to make a grid with them. And at the end of the workshop, you will take home a piece of black obsidian as your very own to take home. And some of the crystals that will be coming are like these two. Does anybody know what this is? Oh, I gave you an easy one. How about this one? No, not obsidian. It's really heavy. It has a lot of iron. It's hematite. Hematite. So you know hematite. So these are just 2 of the 35 crystals that we'll be working with. So I hope you will sign up. And the workshop is a love offering workshop. And I will be back next week to make another announcement with 2 more crystals. So I'm gonna tease you. Okay, thank you.
So please see our website for a full listing of all of our offerings. You can register there and log in information for all our events, so you'll find that on the website. You can also pick up flyers and register for events in the bookstore.
So now I'd like to invite Danae Ligon to the platform because she has some interesting information about next Saturday.
I'm dressed. In case you haven't, and I'm short, there we go. In case you haven't noticed, there's a lot going on out there on the patio, and that is because our carnival is next Saturday. We're going to have food made by the men's group, carnival food. We need cotton candy, guys. You got to figure that one out. We're going to have a magic show right at your table. Delicious desserts provided by the Unity chefs will be auctioned. Auction items, many of them are handmade by our talented Unity friends. Raffle baskets, dancing by DJ Old School, spinning the tunes. And I'm wondering if you've seen the amazing play dates. And this is also for people online. What's a play date? Play date are activities you sign up for, you pay for online or in the bookstore, and then a group of friends get together and have an activity, such as a Super Bowl party, a wildflower walk, pizza and a movie, karaoke. It is an absolute blast. It's a way to really get to know people on a whole different level outside of this room, and a lot of fun, and all of them are extremely reasonable, and we've already gotten 3 of them sold out. And all of the play dates, 4, Susan tells me, 4 of them are sold out. And the play dates are available on the website so that you can go online if you're at home or here, go home and look on the website and see what's there. This is your last week to buy the tickets on the patio, but of course, they're on the website and they will be at the door. So no matter how you get there, we look forward to seeing you. Have fun and spread joy.
As we prepare ourselves for our time of meditation, please join me in taking a conscious breath and affirming our statement of faith together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. We begin with music followed by guided meditation and silence.
So have your mask ready if you want to sing. It's very simple. And the word Shanti means peace. Shanti, Shanti. Let it begin with me. 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 Peace in my heart. Let it begin with me. Peace in my heart. Let it begin with me. Shanti, Shanti. Let it begin with me. Shanti, Shanti. Let it begin with me.
Letting that chant continue to reverberate in our hearts brings forth the peace that is already here within us. Shanti, peace. With every repetition of this truth and every breath we take, we can go deeper and deeper into the experience of peace itself. Shanti, Shanti, peace, peace. I am the very peace I seek. I am one with peace. As we begin to feel the peace moving throughout our bodies, full sense of calm comes over us. A knowing that we are safe and well, despite anything we may have thought contrary to peace even a moment ago, is now melted away, dissolved in the presence of this peace. And so we settle here in the heart of our beings, in the everlasting peace. No matter what sounds happen around us, or what thoughts or feelings or sensations arise within us, we can just come back with a word, a breath. Shanti, peace. Breathing in and breathing out, dropping in more deeply to the very essence of our being, the peace that is always here. So let's rest there in the silence. As we pay close attention to how it feels, we are in this state of peace. Imagine that any time, even in the storms of life, breath, a word, call to peace, Shanti, peace. And here we are again in the same feeling state, in this same experience. We are not only at peace or in peace, we have become peace itself. I am being peace. I am peace. And so it is.
Shanti, Shanti, let it begin with me. Shanti, Shanti, let it begin Shanti, Shanti, let it begin with me. Shanti, Shanti, let it begin with me.
People get ready with the train coming. Picking up passengers from coast to coast. Oh, give me the space to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no baggage just to get on board. People get ready, there's a train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast and coast. Oh, give me the space to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no baggage, just to thank the Lord. All right. People get ready, there's a train to Jordan, picking up passengers from a coast to coast. Oh, give me the space to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no baggage, just to get on board. Get on board, get on board, get on board, yeah, get on board. Get on board and get on board. Get on board, yeah. Get on board, yeah. Oh, there's a train coming. Yes, I get on board, oh, yeah. People get ready.
All right, we're on the peace train. Thank you. When Simon starts singing, we all start paying attention, that's for sure. You have, let's say, a commanding voice. Welcome, everybody online. Thank you for joining us. And those of you outside in the fallish weather out there, welcome, welcome. And everybody right here. All right, we got like 3 blended audiences as one. Look at us go. How many of you enjoy conflict? Yeah, see, some of you do, right? Or maybe you've made peace with conflict, right? So you already are ahead of the game here with where we're headed. So, hang on. Hopefully you'll pick up something new, or you'll just get something reinforced that you can go out there in the world and make a little more peace. So the truth be told, though, some of us do like to stir up the pot a little bit, don't we? Yeah. A little flair for the dramatic. Some of us like to, stir things up and then duck, right? Don't blame me. Let's just see what happens here. My dad used to love to stir things up. He blamed it on his Irish heritage. At our dinner table, he would put some controversial statement out. And I had two sisters, and my sisters and I were kind of, well, I was especially young, but we all were kind of young. At least we were all naive. And we would bite every time. Just exactly what he wanted, right? And then, and so then I think he wanted it because both he wanted a livelier dinner table experience, but also he wanted to try to convert us to his way of thinking. And so it took years before we went, oh, I see what he's doing. So I think it might have been a little bit of this, right? Just kind of enjoying a little bit of stirring things up. When things get a little dull, we begin to stir them up. So maybe we could work on stirring our spiritual evolution and our spiritual awakening. But regardless, it's part of life, right? Regardless of how we embrace it or don't. And actually, truthfully, a lot of us like to avoid conflict, right? Even at all costs. Anybody been there, at least in your history, if not now? Yeah, we'd rather go around or underneath or however we can go without having to confront it face on. So today, what we're going to do is talk about embracing conflict and turning our foes into friends. Sound good? All right, good. You're still with me. You haven't left yet. This is good news. So today's our second week in the series, The Eye of the Storm. So the eye of the storm speaks for itself, right? It's about being in the storm of life, being in the chaos of life, being in the conflict that is inevitable, and finding ourselves in that center space, in that calm space, in the eye of the hurricane. We've had a lot of news about hurricanes, so you can imagine yourself in the eye of the hurricane, is in that peaceful space in the midst of the chaos. And so if you want to engage more deeply in this experience, we do have fall study groups going on, and many of those are fairly full, but there's also an opportunity to buy the book. And Mike tells me there's 7 copies still in the bookstore. And at the end of each chapter, there's awareness exercises, which are really designed for self-study, journaling, and doing some internal work. So ways that you can engage a little bit more in the message each week. So why do some of us avoid conflict? What is it about conflict that makes us go, no, I don't want to be a part of that, or I want to get away from that somehow? Or what is it that we are feeling when we are in that kind of conflict avoidance space? Or maybe shy or unwilling to speak our truth. We just rather let it, roll off of our back or whatever we say, and sometimes we really can do that authentically, but a lot of times it's like we're trying to, as we say, spiritually bypass something that's here for us to really address. So underneath, I think some reasons why we might be in that kind of conflict avoidance space are some of our fears, right? The fear of not maybe fitting in or being accepted, a sense of belonging, getting along, this wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved, wanting to please others. Some of us were raised that way, raised not to honor so much our own feelings, but be concerned about creating harmony with others so that nobody else gets upset. Anybody have that kind of training in their background? Yeah. So, right, a lot of us, it's very common, cater to others' needs. Or maybe we're just worried we won't get it right when we step in, right? We won't say the right thing. We're going to make it worse. We're going to mess it up, or the other person's reaction is going to be too hard for us to handle. We're afraid of the consequences. So Gary Simmons, the author of our book, Eye of the Storm, is a Taekwondo instructor. He's been very much in the martial arts much of his life and his career. And he was teaching some students to become black belts in Taekwondo at one time. But prior to that, when he was 12 years old, he was bullied quite a bit, particularly by this boy named Ricky. And Gary was about 12 at the time. He said Ricky would find whatever pathway Gary seemed to take, and he tried to mix it up and go different ways from school to home. Ricky would figure out a way to terrorize Gary in some way. So he would jump out from behind the garbage cans in the alley, for example. And usually he'd, put Gary in a headlock until Gary started crying, and then he'd say, "Give me your money," So it was always about bullying him to give him money. And so Gary had, gone through this over and over again, and he one day decided, today I'm going to stick up for myself. Today I'm going to stand my ground. And if Ricky's on my way home, I'm going to let him have it in some way. He didn't know what that looked like. But so sure enough, Ricky pops out, pushes Gary down, and starts the whole "give me your money" thing. And to Gary's surprise, he stood up and punched Ricky square in the eye, and Ricky started crying and, ran home. And Gary said, to this day, in his older age, he still feels bad about hitting Ricky that day and making him cry and hurting him. But he didn't know that there was another option. A lot of us are taught there's two options with conflict, right? Fight or flight. That's it. Well, it took a 9-year-old student of his to begin to point out there could be a different way. And his 9-year-old student named Scott was in his academy, and at this point, Gary now was blending his Unity teachings. Gary's now a Unity minister, and he was taking the work of Eric Butterworth, Discover the Power Within You, and using that as his motto in the Black Belt School, Discover the Black Belt Within You. And so Scott got it at 9 years old, and he was asking the kids, what is the black belt to you? And what he really wanted them to understand was the power is not in having the black belt itself. The power is in you, right? And Scott got it. And Scott said, I used to be pushed around by other kids. And he said, and I always thought I either had to run away or fight. And he said, and then because I have the black belt now, I understand that I can just walk away. And that's what he started to do. And it came, right, from that centering, from that knowing, that power within himself. Fear can cause us to have knee-jerk reactions, right, where we say or whatever we do, that elevate the conflict, and we can regret that later, right? But calm centeredness, when we are in that space, it reveals other options to us, other ways to approach, creative solutions, other ways to be. Sometimes, like Scott said, it's just, or how that there's a sense of something just comes to us and we're surprised by how we respond differently because we had that intention. So fight or flight are not our only options, although that is often what's been told to us by science and ways that we understand human behavior. Well, there's other scientific studies, maybe not as well known. In the year 2000, Dr. Shelley Taylor and some UCLA colleagues of hers started to notice that for them, and also for particularly some of their female patients, there was a different kind of response going on, what they started calling not fight or flight, but tend and befriend. That there is an instinct to tend to make sure the kids are safe or whoever else is vulnerable, and to befriend, to bring in the support of your friends, right? So there is that opportunity, that option for us as well that we don't always think about, because for so long we've been told it's fight or flight. That's how humans react from the lizard brain, as they call it, right? So it's also shifting, right, into a higher level of intelligence, into that connection with divine intelligence that opens up the way for other ways. The implications of this are really big for us to shift into this way of thinking, for humanity to recognize I have more options, not just fight or flight, but tend and befriend as well. Lisa Witter and Lisa Chen wrote in Ode magazine, if the reigning ethos of our history has been survival of the fittest, the temperature of today's planet is a paradigm shift that is called survival of the connected. So from survival of the fittest, we're in competition with each other, to survival of the connected. And what does that mean to be connected? We know that on a lot of different levels, right? Feeling connected to each other, feeling connected to ourselves, feeling connected to the wisdom within us, to the essence of God within us. feeling connected to nature. It could go on, but it's all of that shifts us into a place of, I'm not alone and I don't have to fight back or run away. I actually have resources available to me right here and now. So when we are true to our principles and when we value ourselves and value others, we create a different kind of energy force field that happens, right? And in that dynamic energy force field, there's more potential available to us. Things we might not think with our intellectual mind, but opens us up to divine intelligence for divine ideas to come through us, for guidance to become very clear to us in the moment. And the best path forward then becomes clearer and clearer. So even if conflict is provided or provoked from seemingly the outside, right? Some outside situation, some outside interaction with another, the conflict really happens inside. Have you ever noticed that? Because it's like the same thing that when we say somebody else can't make you feel a certain way. I mean, we might say, you make me feel so angry. But in truth, you feel angry. All the person did was whatever they did or whatever they said, right? So they're not making us feel. There is an experience inside of us that's happening, that a feeling is arising because of some actions, some words. So it's that separating the actions, the words from the person helps us, and also recognizing that what's happening is happening in here, which means this is good news for us because we have the power to make change there. Can't change the people around us, but we can do a lot of work in here, right? And I'm doing this because it's mind, body, heart, it's all of it, right? It's all aspects of being where this happens. So usually what's happening in the conflict can boil down to two things that are competing. One is the desire to feel safe, right? So we have a high need to feel safe. We need to feel valued. We need to feel okay. We need to feel validated. There's a high level need that might be activated in us at any given moment. There's also a high level soul need happening inside of us. And the soul wants to progress. The soul wants to evolve. The soul wants to grow. That's kind of the nature of the soul, right? That it's always propelling us forward to advance our understanding, to awaken spiritually, to do the right thing, to whatever it is. So let the soul win. That's the end of that conversation, right? Let the soul win. Let that better part of us, because with it, when we give way to it, the courage that we need will be there. Will we get it right every time? No. Will we sometimes make it worse? Maybe temporarily. But the authentic desire within ourselves to meet what is before us will allow us to grow through it and grow each other through it, and better maybe even the situation through it by our willingness. There's a Chinese wisdom that says, a Chinese saying, embrace tiger, return to mountain. Embrace tiger, return to mountain. And the wisdom of that is that return to mountain is, you could say, synonymous with being centered, synonymous with being connected, feeling the present, being present, and all that comes with that, right? A sense of harmony, a sense of peace, a sense of equanimity, a sense of being in the eye of the storm, in that calm space, in that centered, peaceful place, in that place of wisdom. And the ancients believed that we could, and that experience, that mountaintop experience could really only be experienced by embracing the tigers that come along in our path. By embracing, in other words, whatever it is, the situation, the conflict, the so-called problem. So when we are confronted with that, when it comes along, what can we do? Well, we can look inside, right? Because we know that that's where the conflict happens. And we can say, what's going on here? What's here for me? What am I feeling? What am I needing? Kind of getting to know what's happening inside of ourselves. And from that centered place, then, as we get more internal and more centered, then we can make good decisions about how we're going to respond, what we're going to do. We can fight, we can flee, we can walk away, we can speak, some truth, we can act in some other way. So all of those might be available to us. So a lot of this, something is against me or someone is against me, which we talked about last week. Nothing is really against us, right? It's here for us. No one is against us. Whatever comes up is for us. It's for the opportunity for us to grow. It's the opportunity for us to awaken. So who is then the enemy or the foe? It is that which we think is against us. It's when we forget that nothing and no one is against us, and we think something is, or someone is, and that becomes the foe, right? I prefer foe over enemy for some reason. So what is your foe? It could be anything at any time, right? It could be disease. It could be death. It could be aging. It could be divorce. It could be another person. It could be your work environment. A lot of different things we might be in sort of a kind of internal, at least, combat with in some way, right? We're fighting against, we're resisting against in some way. And that tension between us and whatever that foe is the storm. That's where the storm is happening, right? It's in the tension. So then the eye of the storm is when we go into that sweet spot, when we tend to ourselves, to our feelings, to what's happening, and we are willing to befriend that foe. So it's not just as easy as that necessarily, but that's the concept anyway, right? Jesus said it this way, love your enemies. Very simply. In the King James Version, he says a little more, love your enemies, bless them, do good, and pray for those who persecute you. So he really gives us a map. What should we do in the face of our foes? Love them, bless them, do good, which means do the right thing, and pray. And if we begin to look at that and really do that, we begin to see what happens. So love, let's take love. What happens when we love? We embrace, right? We allow, we accept what is. That's a part of what love does, right? Our hearts begin to open. We begin to allow, embrace. We give more space to it. And so suddenly there isn't so much tension. There isn't so much of that kind of contracted energy. There's an openness. There's a willingness. Maybe even a curiosity that comes. When we befriend the part of ourselves that feels disconnected and fearful, which is really all that's going on there, right? When we love it, when we bring it, we're bringing it back in, right? It's like a child that fell and hurt its knee. Oh, honey, come on back. How often are we that gentle to ourselves? But what if we were? What if we were when the critic starts going off and we went, oh, honey, I see you're not getting your needs met. Well, let me love you back in, right? And imagine what happens, right? Just like that kid that's having a temper tantrum, it's like, oh, I'm being loved, I'm being hugged, I'm being, and they just sort of melt in. So that's what we're really doing is we're inviting these parts of ourselves that we are making foe or whatever it is outside of us that we have made a foe and had feelings about back into center to feel whole again. And bless. When we bless, what do? We endow something with the capacity to have good, right? We give it, when we praise it, the goodness in it increases. And so if we bless the foe and recognize, this is here for my own understanding, my own growth, then there is a sense of, okay, then I'm here to learn the lessons. I'm here to open up to that. I'm here to grow through that. And the blessing then returns to us over and over again because of that. When we bless our foe, we allow ourselves to reclaim our dignity and our wholeness. And doing good. Doing good is doing the right thing. And what is the right thing? It's about that response. How do we respond? We let go of the need to be right. Easier said than done sometimes, right? We focus our attention on demonstrating our authenticity and our wholeness and our worth. And so the right thing is not about winning. It's not about defeating the other or this part of ourselves. It's not about looking good. It's about ownership for our part. It's about just allowing ourselves to take ownership in our part, to look, to ask, oh, okay, so somebody just told me that I did not do that well. So instead of like, having this whole, or oh, I don't ever want to talk to that person again, maybe just taking it in and going, I wonder, they're not talking about me. They're just talking about something I said or did. So let me look at what I said or did and reflect on that. When we are in a place of the eye of the storm, we can do that. When we let ourselves get in the storm, no way, right? We're in it, and we're fighting for our lives because we're fighting for our ego's survival. But if instead we go, okay, let me go to this other place, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different willingness to take responsibility, and by that I mean to recognize we have an ability to respond. We always have an ability to choose how we respond. So one of the things when we talk about this kind of, love and bless and do good, and, we think, well, what about that person who's, doing horrible things to everyone, or what about that, so we kind of get into this worrying that we're going to let folks off the hook. But this isn't really, it's not really that. It's not about not having accountability for true things that are truly unjust or true persecution, true prejudice, that kind of stuff needs accountability for sure, right? So it's important to separate those things out and to recognize, like we talked about last week, we can be pretty dramatic. I was raked over the coals, I was thrown under the bus. Really? I mean, is it really that serious? So it's kind of sussing it out. Maybe if we weren't, we just like tone down the drama a little bit, it could bring us to a little more of the facts, and then we can work from that place, right? So that's all in the do the right thing, do the good thing that Jesus talks about in this idea of loving our enemies or loving our foes. And then pray, and this isn't necessarily in order. I mean, pray might work well first. But what do we do when we pray? We give over, right? We give our thoughts to the divine. We let go of the story and we just give it over so we can come back to center, so we can feel a sense of oneness with the one, oneness with the other, oneness with all the parts of ourselves. And it's a recollection of that. It's a bringing back into our wholeness. We then move out of I'm a victim to I'm a victor, right? And so is everybody who's involved. We all win by embracing conflict, by embracing the tiger. We all return to the mountain, which is here. So how are you your own worst enemy? We all have some of our pet ways that we are our own worst enemy, right? So maybe you're self-critical. Maybe that's where you kind of default. Or maybe you fight against your own body. Maybe you're critical of your own body specifically. Maybe you regret past actions or past things you said and you mull over them again and again and again. Anybody do that? So you just kind of create that pattern of negativity. Maybe you're, as Brene Brown says, always hustling for your worth. Yeah, anybody relate to that? Yeah, just always hustling for your worth. So there's I've got to do more because I need to serve more. I need to be more productive. I need to perfect that. I need to, and it gets exhausting, right? You can tell where mine falls in, can't you? And so when we get in these places, how do we feel? How do you feel when you are being your own worst enemy? Yeah, it's not great, right? It's down, it's deflated, it's disheartening, it's not exciting, it's not fun. You're not having fun when you're in these places, right? We're agitated maybe and creating distance with others, as well as maybe feeling tired and overwhelmed and confused and anxious and fearful and everything else you might want to say about how you feel when you are in that kind of fight against yourself. And how do you get back on track? Here's a pattern. Love, bless, do good, pray. All of those things will bring you back. loving our foe, loving the parts of ourselves that we've cast out, loving them back in, blessing, looking for the good, appreciating, praising what is here, what is good, if it's your body, what's good about your body? What do you love about your body? Maybe you love your hair, or maybe you love a hair, you know? Start small. I love the toenail of my pinky toe, you know, whatever it is. And then just begin there, and it begins to grow. That's what praise and gratitude does naturally. It just multiplies. And it allows, then all of a sudden we know, I'm feeling better. I feel more uplifted. I feel, like I'm being kinder to myself. And everything can shift from there. The Chinese proverb, we're bringing in some Chinese wisdom today, says, tension is who you think you should be, relaxation is who you are. Yeah. Tension is who you think you should be, relaxation is who you are. Yeah. So when we are in shoulds, Bill, right? Shoulding on ourselves, we feel that experience of tension, of stress, of internal, and then just being who we are. Whole different world, relaxation. So the wisdom of Jesus is this: love your enemies, and also remember, forgive them. They know not what they do. And so forgiving ourselves and others for our ignorance, for doing the best we can, which doesn't feel good enough sometimes, and just accepting that that's what it is, right? And just, we know not what we do. We wouldn't do this to ourselves or to each other when we know better. So when we know better, we do better. It's that kind of just conventional wisdom sometimes is exactly what we need to remember. I love these little pithy sayings because it helps me stay on track. So I hope it does you too. Myrtle Fillmore is the co-founder of Unity, and she, back in the day, she would write letters to folks who would write in with their prayer concerns or things that were going on in their lives, and she would write them a letter back and give them some of her wisdom. And in this case, she writes, let's not condemn ourselves or resent it at times if a dear one fails to see things just like we do. Let's endeavor, she says, to look through the veil of personality and see the Christ or the divine within, if you prefer that term, and trust that this God self will come through gloriously. So it's all about our expectation, right? And our beholding. If we can behold within ourselves and with each other, look past the veil of personality to the truth and allow that some praise and see what happens. Experiment with that. So conflict is going to come. We know this, right? It's part of being part of Earth School. Tigers are going to pop up in our path. And they are here as opportunities always for our spiritual development, for us to grow and become more skillful in how we respond. So let's embrace conflict, and let's turn our foes into friends. I invite you to say this with me. I embrace conflict and turn my foes into friends. So it is.
He hasn't announced his concert that he's going to do here for us, but it's going to happen.
Thank you, Reverend Kristin. May we learn to befriend conflict and learn and grow from it. Our prayer chaplains are available after this service to provide personal prayer support. And if you're a prayer chaplain, please stand. Thank you. They wear the lavender stoles.
So whether you have a joy or concern in your heart today, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up in consciousness.
Now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature.
For your convenience, there are a variety of ways to financially give to this community. In addition to checks and cash, you may download the Give app or scan the QR code on the back of the yellow card and the seat back in front of you, or you can set up bill pay through your bank. Those of you at home can click on the Donate button on the Watch Live page.
I invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat our affirmation with me. Together.
Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you.
Here's a little song I wrote. Hope you sing it note for note, so don't worry. Be happy. In every life you may have some trouble. If you worry, you make it double, so don't worry. Be happy. Ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed, so don't worry. Be happy. Landlord says your rent is late. He's got to litigate, so don't worry. Be happy. Here's a little song I wrote. Hope you sing it note for note, so don't worry. Be happy. All day long you might have troubles, but if you worry, they'll make them double. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy.
Not of them one of those wonderful pithy sayings and songs that can roll through our minds. Don't worry, be happy. So it is in the spirit of happiness, of joy, of multiplication of our good, of the many joys and blessings in our lives that we behold these gifts as emblems of exactly that, of the blessing and the good to come. Let's bless it together and see that good multiplied. Together, we give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. And we've got some children coming in.
We are a circle of love. We are a circle of light. Come join the circle of love.
Yes, join it.
Come join the circle of light. The light in you and the light in me are one. The light in you. The light in you and the light in me are one.
Good morning. We thought we'd just come on in and make ourselves comfortable. Hope you don't mind. How is everyone today? Good. Us too. It feels like fall. Yeah. So we were talking about as awakened spiritual children in the world, these kids have the unique ability to bless and to recognize blessings. And so we have been blessing pumpkins all day, right? Yeah. You guys want to talk about how you decorated your pumpkin? Do you want to talk about it, Sebastian? No, thank you. How did you decorate your pumpkin, Lily?
I did googly eyeballs and sparkles.
Googly eyeballs and sparkles. Yeah? There's a cool light back there, by the way. So anyway, we decorated our pumpkins for the fall fundraiser next weekend, and they will be available for you to purchase. I don't know if it's an auction or I'm not sure, but just what? Oh, just to purchase. So we also have some amazing ones that Allie grew in her garden. Well, all of them were grown in Allie's garden, but she scarred them. So while the pumpkin's still on the vine, she wrote things like unity and love and all these affirmative things. And then the pumpkin scars over and it's written on the pumpkin. So we have some of those too. It's very cool. So, and then we have the ones that the kids have decorated for you too. So we're excited for you to see our pumpkins, and all of them were blessed today by these amazing little spiritual beings. So thank you.
Imagining giant pumpkins after the blessings. Might happen. They might grow. All right, let's bless our children, our teachers, and our youth together. Do you guys mind turning around so you can receive your blessing? All right. Thank you. We want to see you. All right, together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. And now we invite you to speak our prayer of protection together, maybe even sign along with Susan if you like. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am love. Divine. I see I got all caught up in. Don't forget your mask.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be.
are the light and the love and the peace on earth right now. So let your light shine, have fun, and spread joy.